sunsets were how you knew God was real, and on my best days, I pray God has the strength to forgive him for his worst days. See, my mother never saw a single sunset in our home. She saw bruised flesh in a living room covered in empty beer bottles. She saw sleepless nights and broken bones, but no sunlight ever found its way into our house. I suppose hope never found its way into our walls. God doesn't visit the devil's home. 3 days laid across the hospital bed, 17 years old, veins drowning in medication. We watched her organs rot away at her flesh till her eyes were bright yellow and her liver was suffocating on one glass of water. The silence engulfed in my mother's pleas. My tears, poisoned my eyes with bee stings until they were too swollen to open. My mouth could not move, it stayed open. The doctors say she'll die. She's sick, the medication's not working, organ transplant is looking like the only option. My mother went down to the church, she cried on the floors of God's haven. Parts of my mother's soul only live in my little sister's voice. I guess an angel heard her screams through the clouds. Heaven took mercy, she got better. My mother says, that's how you know God is real. Now, my father wasn't much of a poet, but he did have a way with words. He could line them up in a sentence like clay and make them sound like a song I could have sworn I knew the lyrics to. The truth was always one tax evasion or embezzlement away from vilifying us all. We'd be hanged with him before he'd let his saliva be touched by accountability. My mother lost 4 babies to his fists, and he still tells tales of false positives, pouring such lore into the abyss till it forms into reality. Mikey's on 4 different types of medication. Daddy's illness was hereditary. He hears voices in empty rooms. There's no God for my brother when his schizophrenia calls his name. God doesn't speak to him, but all his insecurities are loud enough to burst an eardrum. And yet he prays before his meal. Every meal, he still speaks to someone whose vocal cords he's never even heard move. 90% of schizophrenics never recover, but Mikey did. That's how my mom says she knows God is real. My mother tells me I should pray more. I think she's afraid my faith doesn't cling to my bones the way it used to. If I bathed myself in holy water, would it cleanse me of the trauma? Will it wash it from my brain so that I don't have to sell a leg to pay for the fucking therapy? Mom, I don't need a church. I don't need some grand miracle to know God's real, because Mom, you are my sunsets always.